The engines came like thunder over the high desert, chrome glinting, sunset bleeding copper across Route 66. Outside a faded diner in Kingman, Arizona, a single dad tightened a jar of pickles that wouldn't close and listened to trouble roll in. The sign buzzed. The door swung, and a girl who wasn't his sprinted inside, eyes wide as sirens. If this kind of story hits you right in the chest, tap subscribe and ring the bell. New tales drop daily. Tell us where you're watching from, and type respect if you believe courage doesn't check last names. Jack Morales, age 42, ran the morning grill and the late shift because that's what single dads do when rent and school supplies don't care about exhaustion. He'd moved to Kingman from El Paso to give his 9-year-old daughter, Lily, a quieter life. Most folks only knew Jack as the calm guy who rebuilt a 2003 Harley diner in his garage and made pancakes that never stuck. They had no idea. He was an Army Staff Sergeant, 68W combat medic served, 2006 to 2013, 2 tours in Afghanistan, 2008 and 2011, Bronze Star, combat medical badge. He didn't boast. He folded towels. He showed up for parent-teacher night. He kept his hair short and his promises shorter. The girl's name was Mia Alvarez, 13, hoodie 2 sizes too big, cheeks windburned from running. She collided with a chair and choked out 2 words. "They're here." Jack angled his body so she could tuck behind him, a move learned in small rooms with too many threats. He scanned the door. 3 riders in patchwork leather pushed in, knuckles scarred, eyes cold. The tallest wore a red jackal patch and a smile that didn't reach his pupils. A 4th rider idled outside, engine rumbling like a held-back growl. The diner air filled with the smell of gasoline and rainless distance. "Kid took something that isn't hers," the tall one said. Palms open but shoulders ready. "Hand her over, cook." The waitress, Angie, 26, community college night classes, a new tattoo curling like ivy behind her ear, backed up with a tray of coffee that suddenly seemed too hot to hold. The cook, Benny, 61, Vietnamera, Navy machinist mate with arthritis that flared in the cold, set down his spatula, jaw tight. Jack felt Lily's face flash in his mind like a photograph in a flame. He shifted his weight. "No trouble here," he said. "You want coffee? We serve coffee. You want the girl? You're in the wrong place. No trouble," another biker mocked. That's when silence turned to fury. The Red Jackal leader chuckled and flicked a look at Mia. She saw something she shouldn't. "Come on, sweetheart." He reached for her, casual as picking a napkin. Jack moved, simple, efficient. He caught the wrist, turned the elbow, set the hand on the formica with a flat thud. No bravado. Pure mechanics. The diner clock hummed. The biker hissed, then smiled again, but tighter. A folding knife whispered open somewhere. Chairs scraped. Angie set the coffee down without spilling a drop. Benny, without looking, nudged a heavy flashlight toward Jack's foot. Just then, the door jingled again. More chrome, more leather. 6 riders this time. Black vests marked with a silver shield and the words, Route 66 Guardians. The one up front cut his engine, removed his helmet and walked in like a calm storm. He was called Preacher, 54, a retired Arizona state trooper with a voice that could stop traffic and a scar under his left eye that said it already had. "Afternoon," Preacher said. He looked from Jack to Mia to the Red Jackals. "We just came for pie." Tension tightened like a drawn bowstring. Mia breathed in quick small sips. Jack didn't blink. Preacher's eyes flicked to the Jackal leader. Old recognition there. Bad blood, dried and cracked. "Boys," Preacher said softly, "you've been circling schools and shelters for a week. Folks talk." He didn't draw a weapon. He didn't have to. His club took a step forward together, boots thudding like a drumline. "Big misunderstanding," the Jackal leader said, smile gone. And then he lunged. It happened fast, lightning fast. Jack's forearm met the knife hand. A twist, a clamp. The blade clattered. The second Jackal swung. Jack stepped in, elbow like a hammer to bicep, palm to sternum, breath gone. The third grabbed Mia's hoodie. She spun like a cat and he caught fabric instead of girl. Preacher lifted the Jackal leader by his jacket and walked, him backward until his boots skated on tile. Then, the 4th outside revved and shot away. "Bike," Jack said. Preacher tossed the leader to Benny, who proved arthritis doesn't slow a wrist lock, and nodded to Jack. "Can you ride?" Jack didn't answer. He was already running, out the door, across the lot, past the red dust curling in the wind. Jack swung onto his diner. The engine barked awake, a heartbeat of steel. He wore no helmet. He wore purpose. The fleeing Jackal veered into twilight, taillight winking like a lie. The highway opened like a runway. Saguaro silhouettes watched from the shoulders. Jack tucked low, the wind roaring in his ears, the taste of metal and memory in his mouth. He kept the throttle steady, patience coiled in his spine. Panic is loud, training is quiet. The Jackal darted down an old service road that paralleled the tracks. Betting on gravel and darkness, bad bet. Jack's rear tire fishtailed once, caught, then held. He closed the distance, the smell of hot oil and grit rising like a heat mirage. At a split in the road, the Jackal cut left, straight toward a chain-link gate. He gunned it. The padlock popped under his boot, gate yawning. Jack followed. Feathered brakes rode the hinge swing like a wave. Ahead, the road dead-ended at a water tower and a wire fence, the world narrowing to a single bad decision. The Jackal realized too late. He skidded, dumped the bike, scrambled up with a pistol coming out of his waistband, shaking hands, shallow breath, fear showing through. Jack didn't flinch. He lifted both hands, palms open, stepped sideways, so the muzzle had to chase him and not the straight line to his chest. "You don't want to do that," Jack said calmly. "Drop it, walk away." The muzzle wavered. Night pressed in. Jack took one step, then another. Then he did what no one expected in a scene like this. He told the truth. "I'm a medic," he said. "Staff Sergeant, US Army, 2 deployments. If you squeeze that trigger, I'll still stop your bleeding, but you won't outrun what you did next." The Jackal's jaw clenched. He looked at the fence. He looked at the gun. He looked at a man who stood like a mountain in the dark. The pistol fell. It sounded small. Back at the diner, the Guardians had the others seated, hands visible, tempers cooling under the weight of a dozen steady stares. Sheriff Dana Whitfield, 48, 23 years in the department, Desert Storm vet, rolled up with 2 deputies and a set of zip ties. She took one look at Jack returning with the last rider walking in front of him and shook her head, equal, parts relief and disbelief. Inside, Mia sat at the counter with a blanket around her shoulders. Angie had set a hot chocolate in front of her with extra marshmallows. She looked up when Jack came back. He checked the scrape on her elbow, the bruise blossoming under her hoodie. Nothing broken, pulse steady. He washed his hands without looking at them. "Tell me what you saw," Sheriff Whitfield said gently. Mia swallowed. "They were watching the shelter 2 blocks from my bus stop. They followed my friend last week. I took pictures. They saw me. I ran." Benny whistled low. Preacher's jaw worked. The room understood exactly what almost happened and what had been prevented. The sheriff gathered the phones, the knives, the pistol, the men, evidence bag. Body cam on. She nodded to Jack, an old language of respect between people who handle chaos for a living. "You just saved a child, Morales," she said. "You and the Guardians both." Jack looked at Mia, not the badge. "She saved herself," he said quietly. "She ran. She chose right. Respect never grows old. Respect for courage. Respect for choice. Respect for a single dad who decided family can be bigger than blood." A week later, the courthouse lobby smelled like lemon cleaner and nerves. Sheriff Whitfield pinned a citizen's valor commendation on Jack's shirt, while the county clerk mispronounced his last name and the local paper's camera flashed. 3 beats too late. People clapped, not loud, honest. The judge cleared his throat. Preacher and the Guardian stood along the wall like a row of quiet statues. Mia's caseworker hovered. Mia stepped forward in a new hoodie, this one the right size, and tugged at the sleeve. She looked up at Jack. She didn't cry. She didn't need to. "Thanks for being a dad," she said. When mine wouldn't, the room went still. Even the fluorescent lights seemed to hum softer. Benny coughed into his fist. Angie blinked fast. Preacher looked at his boots. Sheriff Whitfield stood a little straighter. Jack, who could stitch a wound in a sandstorm and ride a gate swing without breathing, had no words. He touched the edge of the pin like it might float away, then glanced toward the exit where the afternoon sun angled through glass. Some uniforms never come off. Some promises don't need papers. And sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is be a father to someone who isn't his. If that moved you, hit subscribe. More incredible biker stories land tomorrow. Drop a comment with your city and type respect if you believe family is chosen. Courage is learned, and heroes are often the ones who just show up. Never count anyone out. Never.